Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be discussing the books that ended my 2024 year, books that I'm going to read for 2025, and then some self-help books that I wanted to share. If you are interested in changing your mindset, resetting your year, and thinking differently. So let's get to it. The first book that I want to talk about is The Black Wife Effect. And I wasn't a big fan of the book. The main point of this book was to tell a story about the effects of a Black woman with a white man. There were some funny moments in it. There were trials and error. It's a marriage of convenience. But I didn't really get behind it. It wasn't a fun read. I probably won't reread it. I definitely won't recommend it to anybody else, but I enjoyed the process of it. Okay, book 2, Sunlight. Sunlight it's a part of duology, so it's the second book. The first book is Crossroads. So this book is about the brother. And when I first read the description of the book, it is kind of like a pregnancy trope. And I was convicted hard. So usually I don't do pregnancy trope. I'm just like, oh, that's terrible. There's a lot of reasons why I'm not for it. And then I was watching someone's booktube or book talk, and they literally convicted me. They were like, oh, why aren't you for a pregnancy trope? It's because you don't want pregnant women to be loved. And I was like, oh, okay. Just that one comment, I was like, okay, that's not the reason, but I hear you. And so I tried it and I enjoyed Sunlight a lot. This is a book I would recommend. Devney Perry is an author that I truly love. I love her Eden series. That's like the first series I enjoyed by her, and I recommend that series wholeheartedly. But yes, I would say the Sunlight, Crossroads, this duology book, definitely love it. Set in Montana, on a ranch, family owned, and the main female character, she comes on as a new employee, and essentially that's how Jax meets her. And it goes through a lot of trauma. Like, this book is more in depth when it comes to like what the characters are going through compared to the first one. And this one, your heart is just like gut-wrenching for Jax and his feeling and kind of his childhood trauma and what he went through. And then you feel for the main female character as well, everything that she has gone through, everything that she tried to do in order to help the people around her out. I don't want to give too much away, but I enjoyed that part of the book. Okay, next book is Mine for the Moment. I love this author and what she has done with a lot of her series. Mine for the Moment, I enjoyed it. The main female character, I was intrigued by who she was. I'm always intrigued by like who the author decides to use as a main female character. How are they described? Who are their parents, their background, all that stuff. Like, give me the backstory. This woman is from an African country, or her parents are, which makes sense to like her parents' behavior and what they believe in and her occupation, and they weren't for it. But essentially, the relationship comes about after tragedy strikes a group of friends. And it's kind of like, let's just try this out for a bit, kind of friends with benefit situation happening. And then things unravel. And I was not a fan of like, cool, I knew it was going to happen. I knew something had to show up or take place just because they were bringing this storyline across the book. But then when it happened, and then what took place and how the main male character acted and the main female character was just like, okay, like you said this and that, but cool, like let's hook up in your office. It was just the behavior that she portrayed to me was the most annoying thing in the world. Like, woman, you know better. You're smarter than that, for sure. And I wasn't a fan. I wasn't a fan of his apology, how he acted, how he behaved. And then I don't want to give too much away. Like, if you read it, you would know that the unraveling that took place and the individual that is part of that who shows up, their behavior was questionable to me due to the fact that, like, I think people ignored that behavior because of the trauma that took place. But for me, I was like, you knew, you were aware. And because you were hurt, you were like, I'm just going to let that go. I'm going to pretend I don't see it and then move on. So this book was well written in a sense of like, I love the plot. I love the unraveling. But the whole like, I like him, but he doesn't like me back, but I like him also, and I'm going to use this person, and I'm going to hold on to you and your emotions. I like her, but she has zero idea. It was a lot of that happening in the book. It was a little bit crazy, So we shall see. I hope that the brother in this book gets his own storyline, unless I missed it. But I don't think I did. But I hope he does get his own storyline. Anyways, that was that. Okay, and the final book that I read for my 10 Before the End was Variation by Rebecca Yarros. And I did love this book. I enjoy this a lot. 75% of it. The last 25%, I just felt like it was dragging. And I felt like there was a third act breakup in there. And I wasn't a fan of that. I was just like, you know already what you want. Why is this difficult? And everyone's trying to be the hero and it's making the book go longer. I'm just like, please, please bring it back. So if like, that's how I felt. And of course, there has to be like a big storyline that goes with it. There are secrets, there are struggles, there's trauma, and I absolutely love it. And I ate that up because I love to know why someone behaves the way they do. I love to know why secrets have to be held and why someone is behaving such a way, or how did this come to be? And so this book does a great job of that. There is a sassy 10-year-old in the book too, and I really enjoyed her character and just like how the plot was kind of including her as well. So I enjoyed that. Variation is definitely a top one. Highly recommend. I would definitely read everything that Rebecca Yarros writes. She's just great at creating just a world that you could just see yourself in as well. It's a dancer, and this the guy, the main male character, is a Coast Guard, but just like, I don't know, I was like, I didn't know all Coast Guards did that, but he essentially rescues people in the middle of the ocean, like puts his life at risk for other people. Selfless behavior. And you just see that throughout the book, and you just love him even more. So yeah, great book. Not like trying to be an overachiever, but I really wanted to get one Christmas book in, at least one, for the year. I normally don't read Christmas books during this time, or holiday books. Sometimes I find them to be just too cheesy and they're just like a waste of time. But I did get the chance to read The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. And oh my goodness, absolutely love this book. There's a dash of romance in there that does not take over the entire plot of the book, but it just allows you to just fall in love with these characters even more. Like, he fell first and hard, and she fell a little later. But she got with it. She understood. She understood the assignment. And this is just so great. So if you grew up like loving Clue, Knives Out, Who Done It, like this is the book for you. It was just so well written, and I'm so happy I was able to get it. I got it from Book of the Month. And it was just, yeah, Ali Carter just did a phenomenal job, and I had no idea like what to truly expect. I know some people probably were like able to figure out who done it already, but for me, I did not. And I really enjoyed all the plot and the twists that took place, and like how, yes, you didn't do it, but like you were also guilty of X, Y, and Z. Like some people are just crazy and just selfish and could care less about other people. So great book. Would definitely recommend. I don't know, depending on what like December 2025 looks like, I might do a reread of this because it was truly an exciting ride. Shifting gears, the next thing I'm going to do is share with you just a few books that I have read in the past that I would consider reset books, self-help books, whatever you want to call them. A lot of them are based in Christian faith. So there's that as well. But others are like leadership books that I read myself. So let's just get to it. Better Decisions, Fewer Regrets. So this book right here has like 5 questions that they will ask you throughout the book. And essentially what it will help you do is that when you get into a situation, in that moment, you know exactly what decision to make. So one, you're not wasting any time, but 2, you make the right decision based off certain things. Better Decisions, Fewer Regrets. Would definitely highly recommend that. So we have The 8 Paradoxes of a Great Leader. This is such a great book right here, just embracing conflicts and demands in the workplace. So this book and the next few books I'm going to share with you, I personally got them because of my position in my job. With my job, I have to not only lead students, but also adults who I get to work with and lead throughout each season of athletics. And so for me, my big thing was I never want a year to go by where I make a mistake that could hurt other people, or that could hinder the progress of the athletic department, or that could just hurt the future of the athletic department, right? I want to be the best leader possible. And so that requires me to learn. That requires me to research and to gain knowledge in order for me to then go into work every single day and then provide the best that I can for my students and then for the staff that I get to work with, which is really cool. And so the last few years, I've really done, in my opinion, a great job of just like kind of collecting reading materials that I can use to further myself in my job. So one of them being the 8 Paradoxes of a Great Leader. The next one, I read this every summer. This is The Self-Aware Leader, John C. Maxwell. I would say when it comes to leadership or leadership books, John C. Maxwell is the way to go. His way of articulating like what it means to be a leader and what it means to be more aware of yourself in a working environment is super important. It is the worst to have a manager, a boss, a supervisor, whatever you want to call it, that is not aware of their behavior, not aware of how they speak to you, how they engage with you, that they might be very passive aggressive and not honest. And so when it comes to managing people, you need to be self-aware. It is so difficult to watch someone go up the ladder due to the fact that of course they want a progression in their professional world, in their professional life, but also is just they do it just for themselves and they could care less about the people they lead. So this is self-explanatory. The Self-Aware Leader by John C. Maxwell. Get it. The next one, Start With Why. This book, I got it during an internship, but I was at a strength conditioning gym specifically for youth, and the owner gave me this. And essentially, like in this book, which is such a great job of just being able to synthesize the meaning of your why and using real world experiences of other people and famous companies, things like that, of how they actually got started and why are they successful at what they do, why are they successful at their job. Have a passion that you're all for, if you have a job that you truly love, if you have a nonprofit that you're serving or that you're volunteering at, and you're almost like, why am I here? What am I doing? This is the book that I would highly recommend, is like Start With Why. Why did you decide to sign up for that volunteer position? Why did you decide to go for that job? Why are you deciding to stay at that job? Right? And why are you deciding to do that passion project that you love so much? Start with why. Such a great one. This is another one right here, The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. We are all guilty of this. We are all guilty of like pushing the limit when it comes to writing in our agenda and writing in our planners and going here, doing this, booking this appointment, booking time with friends, and never settling. And we're just like exhausted after like 2 months of doing that. Why are we doing that? Why are we always exhausted? Why are we tired? Like I love when I can look at my calendar and it's like, oh, you have a free Saturday. Oh, you have a free Friday. That's my favorite. Like, do not bother me during that time. Like, I will actually say I'm busy and I'm literally just in my bed rotting reading a book. But essentially, the ruthless elimination of hurry essentially will help you figure out how to understand like what is truly important in your life, what you should prioritize and why, and then how you can then take that information and then just relay that back into your life, into your daily habits. So I really do appreciate this book. I read this book at first on Kindle, and then our church had a book club, and then they used this book. So then I got the copy so I can read along with them. So I would definitely recommend this book, especially if you're the type of person that loves to fill up your calendar, and then you're figuring out like, why am I tired and why am I exhausted? And why don't I have any time for just to sit and to breathe? This is for you. The next book that I would like to share is Winning the War in Your Mind. I got this book for a lot of personal reasons. This book is rooted in the Bible, so biblical verses are throughout this book. But essentially, I got it due to the fact that like I wanted more in-depth understanding of mental health and how God is walking alongside you during these times, and what verses that I want to be rooted in order for me to continue. Because right, life is still a struggle. Like just because you're a Christian doesn't mean like it's dandy and we're all happy. There will be struggles, there will be trials. And so when those things arise, or when it's just constant and it's never stopping, who do I turn to and why? And then also, how can I navigate my mind? This is not a substitute for, I got really serious. My voice was like, But I'm honestly though, this is not a substitute for anything else. Like, let's say you have a therapist, stay with your therapist. Let's say you have a counselor, or let's say you're on medication, things like that, or you've never gotten like any help whatsoever. This is not a substitute. This is like a supplement, okay? It's on top of everything else that you're doing. But still, this is a great read. And the final book, this is kind of like, I actually never share this book, but it's like a journal devotion. So it's called 31 Prayers for My Future Husband. So basically, with this devotion book, I would recommend it for anyone who has a desire to be a wife, but also just a desire to be a woman of God. And what does that look like? So you could easily get this book and be like, and read through it and be like, yeah, my husband needs blah, 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 blah. And what I felt throughout this whole thing is like, do I have these qualities? Am I someone who is stewarding my finances well? Am I someone who is respecting my family and like engaging in those relationships well and praying for those things? Am I someone who is disciplined? And all these things that we're like, we want the other person to have, but do I have it? So while I was also going along with the devotions and praying through it, I was also using that as like, I need these things as well. I think they do have one for men too, but of course I didn't look. And yeah, I just like been going through this, I think for 2 years now. And so I do go through it over and over again, even though I filled out everything. Sometimes I write on the edges and just fill out what like I feel convicted about or what my thoughts are, current situation, especially like it's been 2 years. So a lot of my mindset has changed every year. So doing this for 3 years now, this will be the third year. I will definitely come in with a different thought process. So I'm really enjoying that. So yeah, let's get to it. Okay, up next, we're going to talk about the next 5 books I plan to read for the month of January. I definitely changed my goals for 2025. Last year, I read over 150 books. That was too much. I'm sorry, no. Like, I have a full-time job. Where is that happening? How? And so the reason why I brought it down to 50 is, one, I think I will surpass 50 for sure. But two, I also know that like reading isn't my whole life. I enjoy so many other things, and I also want to take time and cultivate those passions as well. But anywho, let's get back to the real point of this conversation, the 5 books I'm going to read in January. So here is the first book I'm going to read, The Poppy War. I know I'm late to the game, but here we are. We are going to read The Poppy War. It is a historical fantasy, and I just know nothing about it, and I'm like really excited for it. I know it's a trilogy, so the next few books is The Dragon Republic and The Burning God is the next 2 books after that. But I haven't read any of her other books, but I do have Yellow Face here, which I do need to read, but that's going to be later on in the year. But The Poppy War is going to be the next one. And then I have a memoir because I absolutely love memoirs. So this one is Sorry for the Inconvenience. This one is about a Pakistani American woman, just like her college life and experiencing the ups and downs of family, her romance, everything like that. This is a Mindy Kaling book club choice. So I'm really excited for that too. Next one is by Kennedy Ryan, Before I Let Go, a romance novel. I just heard great things about it. And then I heard the next one, Real, that she just released is amazing. So I want to get through this book to be able to read Real and anything else and everything else by Kennedy Ryan. I told myself last month that I really want to start reading her books. I've just heard great things about it. And so due to that, I have this and we're going to get started this month with it. And then the first book I'm actually going to read this month, it's a book club book. So I have a few friends. We started a book club. It's probably been a year now. For December, we did like a book swap thing. So we did Secret Santa book swap. And then the person I received wanted something specific like historical fiction, something local, due to the fact that we live in New England. That was kind of easy. Our bookstores do a great job of providing those options. So the book that we're going to read as a book club, because we were all like, oh, since 2 of you already had it, because I bought myself one, and we can easily get it, let's do this for our next book club. So that will be The Lioness of Boston. Our plan is after we finish reading the book, we're all going to get together, discuss it at the museum. The museum itself is based off of the woman in this book. And essentially, it's about a woman that collects art, that is part of the high class society, a group, and just navigating Boston in the 1800s and what that looks like. And so the museum is also the artwork, the antiques that she has collected along her travels and meeting new people throughout her time. And yeah, this is going to be our next book for our book club in the month of January. So this is going to be my first read, and I'm actually going to dive into it today. So I'm really excited about that. So that's all I have for you guys. It's been great so far. This is day 2, and I don't know if you can tell, but I have been sick for the last few days, which is why I was not able to like film this video at all. Breathing is a little difficult, but we are here, we are trying, and we are thriving. And so, hoping that in the next few weeks, I can dive deep with you guys on each book that I'm currently reading and what's to come. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good one.